Welcome back. This is our third video about moving around in Excel. In this video, we're going to learn about F2 and F4, inserting and deleting comments, copying tabs, and editing cells on all tabs. Let's get started. Here's our first general example. Now let's start off by pressing F2. F2 merely just opens up a cell for editing. And in this cell, you can already see that it's referencing cell B6. So no matter what's in cell B6, this cell will pull back whatever that value is. So for instance, if I change this to 15%, this as well will change. Now I don't know if you noticed, but there's actually these dollar signs in here, and that's what F4 does. So if I click F4 over and over and over and over again, you can see that it's rotating through or cycling through the different places where these dollar signs can be within the formula. So this is just a real simple formula, just saying that it equals another cell. But let's pretend we want to go ahead and copy this 15% all across all of these squares. Now, dollar signs would be necessary. How I have these dollar signs placed right now is saying that it's an absolute reference to cell B6. I'm going to get out of this cell by hitting escape. And I'm going to simply copy this formula and over and down. And you can see that everything is labeled 15%. And everything says cell B6 and it has the dollar signs within the formula. I'm just hitting F2 and hitting enter. Or you could hit F2 and escape. So now what happens if we do F4 one more time and we are only absolute on the row section of it, the row part of the formula? 6. So meaning if I copy this formula over and down, it will always stay on row 6, but if I copy it over, it's actually going to hop to the different columns it will actually hop to the different columns. So let's see how that happens. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to Control C, Control and Shift over, Control and Shift down, and then Control V. You can see that in column C, we have all 15s, but everywhere else we have zeros. That's because the formula is actually not fixed on the columns, so it's flooding over to the other columns. So you can see in C and D. All right, so what happens if we then go ahead and change this to the next option, F4 one more time? Now we're locked or have an absolute reference only on the columns, column B. All right, hit enter, Control C, Control Shift over, down, Control V. And right here you can see that we have all of the 15% across the top now, but nothing on the bottom. That's because, again, as we copied down, the formula was not locked on the rows, so the formula carried down to the next cell below row 6. And again, 2 cells below row 6. The last one is with no absolute references at all. And I'm sure by now you can guess what's going to happen. So I'm going to copy it over, down, Control V, paste. And you see that it's really looking kind of weird now. Lots of zeros, and I have a 15% here, which is actually just referencing this cell. Hit escape. So in this case, for us to have all of the cells at 15%, we need to add in both dollar signs as an absolute reference. Hit enter, copy, over, down, paste. Hit escape. Here's my second example. Let's pretend that we have 2 different salespeople, Jack and Jill, and Jack makes 4% and Jill makes 5% of sales. And in this chart, we're trying to figure out how much money both Jack and Jill will earn from their commissions off of the sales in January through April. And to do that, we want to be able to fill in this line with all of Jack's commission percentage, 4% across. And then same with Jill, 5% across. But we only want to type the formula once. So let's start with Jack. You're just going to type equals and then select Jack's. The next question is always, do I want to lock the columns or the rows or both? So let's start cycling through using F4. So this first time we have dollar signs in front of the columns and then both and the rows. So if I copy this over and down, it should say this is the most absolute reference. So if I copy over and down, it's going to say 4% all the way across. And of course, that's not what we want. So we want to have Jill's in there as well to say 5% all the way across her line. To do that, we need to make sure that we don't lock up the rows. This one needs to come out. So let's cycle through so that we have a dollar sign here, but no dollar sign there. Just needed to hit it 2 more times, hit enter, copy it, Shift and over and then down and then hit Control V for paste. And then hit escape to get out of this copy mode, and then you're done. The next thing is that we want to copy this formula over. So I'm just going to copy it and drag it, and it's copied over. So this is the amount of money that they will make. Now you might be saying to yourself, why do I even care to use a formula that goes over and across when I can just simply type 4s or 5s all the way across manually? The purpose is that now we have one point where we can change all the data at once. I can type 6 here and everything has changed, or 7 here and Jill's has changed. So being able to change it at one data point versus 8 data points makes it so much more efficient if you're going back later to update. Here's my third example. And before we get started, let me insert a comment by holding Shift and F2. This will open up the comment box, and you can type your comment here. Then to escape out of the comment, you can either double click outside or just hit escape twice. To delete the comment, typically I just right click and hit delete comment, but the shortcut key is Shift F10 and then M as in Mary, and that will get rid of it. Okay, next let's pretend that we want to make some edits to this customer list. But before we do, we want to make a copy just in case. So normally you'd go to the bottom where the name of the tab is, right click, click move or copy, click create a copy, and then hit OK. Instead, it's much easier to just click and hold, drag to the new location, and press Control. This will put that little plus sign which indicates a copy will be made. Then you just let go, and you can see another copy has been made. Now let's say that we want to make a change on both tabs in the exact same cell. Like, say we see that Jim's address is incorrect. Well, to change it on both tabs, all you have to do is select them both by holding Shift and clicking both of them together. And then on the cell that you want to change, just start typing the change, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's say, and hit Enter. We can go back to the first tab, and you see it's updated here as well, and then back to the second tab where we were, and it's there as well. If we hit delete, it will delete it on both tabs. See, it's not there. The only thing is be sure to click off of this tab to deselect both of them. Otherwise, you could be inadvertently typing on both tabs.